Welcome to Tech Confidential's Behind the Money. I'm Mary Kathleen Flynn, and I'm here with Ian Swanson, who is the co-founder and CEO of Symmetrics. I think of Symmetrics as a web analytics company, and well, you may beg to differ with me, have a slight variation on that, but let's talk about what your company does and why web analytics are so important right now.
Yeah, definitely. So Symmetrics started in the analytics space, and so we are the leader in social analytics. And so we measure the social audience on social networking sites, whether you're on Facebook applications, MySpace apps, Friendster, Hi-Fi, Bebo. We then have moved into the second part of our business, which is focusing on advertising and connecting the dots between analytics and advertising. And the goal is to provide ROI for advertisers and really get them to know what inventory is the best for them in the social space.
You know, there's a lot of pressure right now on Web 2.0 companies. A lot of it's coming from the economy and from their investors. And investors really urging them to take stock of what they have and understand their properties. So how do the tools that you and others like Symmetrics create, how do you help people measure what they have?
Yeah, definitely. So from a publisher standpoint, it's really good to understand who your audience is. You know, and once you understand the audience, then you can start to grow that audience. And so we've had publishers that didn't realize that their core audience was women over 30 in Minnesota. And once you point that out and you combine it against traffic metrics such as impressions and uniques, you can start to tailor the message for that audience and then grow your site. And once you grow the site, then it goes into revenue streams.
So how do you do that? How do you gauge and measure the audience?
So we have a analytics tracer code, what we call it, similar to Google Analytics, like a piece of JavaScript, but it's tied into an API that really integrates with the site. And so these social network sites pass us data, some levels of profile data, but we keep it completely anonymous and to the point where we don't collect any personally identifiable information. So we don't collect names, email addresses, and phone numbers, but we do get some basic demographic details.
What about behavior? I talked to Dave McClure recently, who just ran the Startonomics conference all about web analytics. And he talked about how important it was to know the difference between, say, somebody who comes to your site for a moment or somebody who comes and stays on a while, refers a few more people, and maybe comes back 6 months later and buys something. So how are the tools developing to measure that behavior? Yeah,
it's completely important. I mean, you need to figure out who are the voyeurs, who are the curators, in the group, who are the people that are actually contributing to the point where they're adding value to your site. And so what we do is we segment out the audience to be able to tell the demographics, to be able to say males 28 years old in California actually post more photos or do more blog posts or comment more. And so maybe that's the type of audience that you need to start catering more messaging to. And then so we do that through different A/B testing, and then just really just connecting and pulling out the details and combining it with traffic metrics.
Is there something particularly challenging about social networks when it comes to measuring how a website is doing?
Yeah, so there's a lot more data that's there. So if you think about it, especially in Facebook, people might have 292 different data points. Such as their demographics, but also their movies, their other interests, their music, how they communicate with their friends. And so what we need to do is we need to back out the traditional traffic metrics, such as Google Analytics gets of impressions and uniques, and combine it against all that user data. And once we do that, then we can start to see some very interesting patterns.
And so then what do you generate? A series of reports for your customers?
Yeah, we have a dashboard. It's very similar to Google. We have a series of reports. And then I think what's unique about Symmetrics is we combine all those traffic metrics to the advertising side. And so we're linking the traditional analytics for the social space with advertising, with banners, with click-through rate to say that males click more than females and exactly what part of your site. And so we really connect the dots between revenue and the impression data.
Okay, and before we let you go, of course, we want to know about funding.
Yeah.
Briefly update us on your current funding and tell us what you're doing next.
Yeah. So we raised a round back in May from the Mellon Fund, which is comprised of Excel, Venrock, AT&T, William Morris. We also took some money from Greycroft Partners, which is local in New York here. And currently Symmetrics is looking to raise their second round. And so we're in that process. We're talking to many VCs. It's a different time, right now in terms of investment, and it comes with its own challenges. But Symmetrics, we're clearly defined ourselves as a leader in the social analytics space, and we're doing some incredibly interesting stuff on the advertising side, so we still have a lot of interest from VCs.
Okay, well, last question, I promise. How tough is it out there to raise money right now?
I think from our standpoint, we know we're going to raise money. It's just we're trying to focus on who are the right partners, the right VCs for us. However, what we've seen that is tougher than normal is the due diligence process before you get a term sheet. And so we're having to go through a lot of tech due diligence, a lot of business due diligence before we get that term sheet more than normal.
So you really have to work for your money.
Yeah,
Okay.
You've always had to work for your money, but we have to go that one extra step.
All right, thank you so much, Ian Swanson, CEO of Symmetrics, and thank you for watching Tech Confidential's Behind the Money. I'm Mary Kathleen Flynn.